Hi everyone. I wanted to come on and talk to you today before the weekend gets busy with kids and all that jazz. Oh, that's nice. Tree and sky behind me. So I hope you're all doing well and connecting with yourselves, which is the most important person you can be connecting with. I want to share with you a kind of a lesson in this talk today. And the thought bubbled up after that list of everything that we're missing, everything that you miss since becoming a mom, the stuff that you really would like to have back. And I realized I kind of stirred the pot with that one, but it did lead me to think, hearing all of the responses, that one of the things that is something that is universal for all mothers is this idea that we wish it would be different from how it is in some way. And whether that means you're missing something from your life before, or you wish your kids were different, or your partner supported you in other ways, whatever it is. Or you wish you were different, you wish you were a different kind of mom, or a more patient mom, or the kind that never yelled, or whatever it is. We spin a lot of wheels. We use up a lot of our power and our energy, and waste a lot of time and energy giving into those stories. So I thought it would be valuable for me to come on and talk about one of the biggest things that gets in the way of us being able to connect with our joy and to be really carefree. And the question today is, when was the last time that you felt really open and accessible to joy? When was the last time you were able to deeply connect with presence and follow the flow of laughter, of fun, of deep conversation, whatever it is that totally lights you up? That's a part of something that's in all of us. Some of us are more intentional about bringing it out and connecting with it and allowing it than others. So I want to put that on the table today to say every single one of you has a valuable gift to offer, that your true gifts are things that will want to come out, and when you don't let them out, you'll feel uncomfortable. You'll feel a constriction or a restriction. So how do we lighten up? How do we connect with joy more? How do we find that kind of, how do we tap into that space of being carefree? And there are two things I'm going to mention to you today. So one is, you've got to find a way to allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. It sounds really simple, but there's a lot more to it than that. You got to find a way to give yourself permission. And what I want to say, you don't need my permission, but what I want to say about how this works is that any feeling you're having is worthy of being noticed, acknowledged, and felt just by way of it being there. So anything, any emotion you're having, any thought you're having, it deserves your attention. It deserves your awareness until you can integrate it, until you can shift it, transmute it, transform it, or allow it to come out fully if it has a big purpose for you. Okay, so we're all feeling things all the time that we have been shown or non-verbally told that it's not okay to let that out. It's not okay to be that. That's an ugly thing. That's a rude thing. That's disrespectful. So all these voices are in our heads, judging all the feelings that are a natural part of who we are, a natural part of our soul, of our spirit. Sometimes they're old stories. Sometimes they're kind of imprinted patterns from parents. They are all worthy of being looked at. In fact, I can guarantee that you are not going to reach that point of feeling really carefree, really open, really tapped into presence and connection with joy and happiness until you go there. All right, so give yourself permission to feel whatever you're feeling. If you notice you're judging it, don't judge yourself for judging. Just be like, oh, that's judging. Okay. And then move into acknowledging it, acknowledging what it is. And sometimes I ask the question, what's here for me? What is coming up for me right now? And that's just my entry point. So the other piece is the thing that that gets in the way, which is kind of like the deeper, more rooted part of giving yourself permission to feel, is grief. So if there's one thing that is blocking you from presence, blocking you from connecting with your kids in the moment, or appreciating your partner, really accepting yourself, if there's one thing that's getting in the way of that, it's probably grief. Motherhood is just a prime opportunity for grief to grow and take root. And it's because there's such a loss of freedom inherent in it, right? I talk a lot about, like, it's hard if we believe it's hard. It's hard if we say it's hard. It's self-sacrifice and selflessness are what it's going to feel like if that's the path that we accept, if we believe it. But it doesn't have to be like any of that. And really the piece underneath that is you got to be able to grieve what you've lost. You've got to acknowledge what you're feeling as a loss whenever that comes up. If you find yourself wishing you were somewhere else, or your kid was someone else, or if you find yourself really missing things about your physical body, about not having any responsibility, or just being able to answer to no one other than yourself. There's so much of that you can bring into motherhood now that you probably don't yet realize if you're not saying yes, I know. If you're not tracking me, I know I may lose a few people here. Some of you will be like on track. I'll say grief, and I know that will name something important for you, and you'll think, oh God, yes, it's grief. I really need to do some releasing. Grief is clearing, it's releasing, it's shedding energies that are really heavy, that are dark, that constrict us and kind of dull our light. So it's a really healthy thing. It's a really healthy thing to be able to open enough to release that. Just had a moment last weekend where I was processing something really big that came up that I'd asked for guidance on in my meditation, and then later in the day kind of got hit with this really obvious thought and feeling, and it kind of, I took it straight into, I just tuned in, and there was a huge release of old sadness, and there was some fear in there, and it was just a nice big juicy pot of emotion. And when I released it, I was kind of just saying, you guys, it was on the weekend, so my family was around, which isn't usually like how I'm processing stuff with people around, but that's fine, whatever. And my older one walked through and saw me crying, and I said, it's okay, I'm just releasing a feeling. And she goes, oh, okay, and walked out of the room. And I thought, and I heard this like guidance come in about like, oh, that's a gift. You have to stop and appreciate that. To know that your feelings are normal, to know that you're able to release what isn't serving you by tuning into it and calling it grief and calling it loss. That's the beginning of being able to move past it into something that feels like lightness and ease and freedom. And it's all here for you. It's all here for you now. Love is just waiting for you to tap into it. If you're busy feeling anxious and caught up in your head and analyzing, there is so much more for you. There's so much more. So that's a message for today, and I have a call coming up. So I'm going to say goodbye and send you so much love, and post your comments and questions below. I'd love to hear from you and what you thought about this video. Have a great weekend.